What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another Bucks on Deck podcast episode. I'm Anthony Murphy. With me, as always, Nola Jeffy. Nola, what's going on, man?
Just another day in paradise.
Another day in paradise. How them Monday night bets going for you?
I hit one already. That
Hit
was
one already?
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the what was it, the bet and get or whatever,
Mhm.
up 7, and you automatically get the bet. So I put it on the Redskins, or sorry, the
Woo!
Washington
Oh, our
Commanders.
show just got our show just got canceled.
Yep, my bad.
Yep. But we got another fun episode here. Unfortunately, if you watched me on NS9 Monday morning, we were kind of hoping that the Arizona Fall League rosters would get released by the time we went to record tonight, so then we could talk about it a little bit before the season. That did not happen. I don't know what the holdup is. It's getting a little frustrating. We know the schedule. We know there are some players who we know are going to play in it. Like Shim is playing there for the Marlins, and was it Bryce Eldridge is going there for the Giants. So they know. They just haven't shared it with us yet.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe there's something to do with they have to wait until minor leagues is fully over or something. I don't know.
Maybe. But we're going to so today we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to recap the season a little bit. We're going to go over some top performers in the system this past year. We're each going to go over like a player that maybe disappointed us when it comes to like expectations, and then there's only a week left in the baseball season. For the Pirates. So we're going to talk about something that maybe we're watching for the Pirates this last week of the season. And then we're going to get into a little off-season talk and talk about a certain headline as far as our storyline, I guess, that we're watching as far as maybe helping out the Major League roster. But we're going to get started with top performers. And I don't know, do you want to go back and forth with like one apiece, or did you want to just go ahead and do your two and then I'll do my two?
We can go back and forth.
Back and forth. All right. So we're gonna go through a guy who, okay. So we went through top performers, and we started talking like before the show. We started mentioning the guys we wanted to talk about, and I think we both, neither of us brought up like Bubba Chandler, but I think it was more of a. I think that was more the most obvious answer when it comes to top performer. Was that Baseball America named him the minor league player of the year for the Pirates on their site on Monday morning. So, I mean, Bubba Chandler, he was incredible, had an incredible season. We all know that. We talked about him plenty. So we're gonna highlight some other names in the system that maybe had pretty good seasons. Noah, you want to go ahead and kick us off with your first guy?
Well, I mean, my first one, I guess, should be kind of a given at this point, but Alessandro Urcolani is going to be my first one. I think probably even one of the more impressive numbers with him is the fact that if you take out his one appearance where he gave up 9 earned runs in 2.3 innings, he would have had a 2.3 ERA in 74.1 innings with 91 Ks and 22 walks. Obviously, we include that game. I mean, it's still a very nice 3.29 ERA, 93 Ks, 25 walks, and 76.2 innings pitched for a 20-year-old.
High A, too.
High A. And, I mean, and it was nice that you were there, so you actually got to see velo readings on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And if we presume that they were correct, I guess he wasn't hit. I mean, 2023, I think he even hit like 97. I mean, he wasn't hitting that in Greensboro, but when we would occasionally hear numbers watching games, it would be like 90, 91, and we would just sit there and be like, that's got to be his cutter. And I guess you kind of verified that that's likely what it was.
Yeah, it was. And too, like you think about it too, like this is the most he's pitched in the season again this year, and the game that I was at was his very last regular season appearance. He played once in the playoffs and all that stuff. So maybe there's a little like tired, fatigue and stuff like that. So maybe the velocity wasn't clicking as much as maybe it was early in the year. I think the plan for me next year is probably to get out sooner to see these guys. So then, we see them a little healthier and fresher and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, like even if you look at him after that blow up game, he had a 182 ERA after that. Only a 6.4% walk rate, 33.2% strikeout rate. Like he just found a whole nother level once he kind of kicked it into the bullpen and stuff like that. So
yeah,
very, very good season from him. Very, very encouraging. Obviously, I think the most impressive thing is just him pitching all year at 20 years old. I mean, he was 19 when the season started, technically. So
yeah.
But
he's dirty.
My first, dirty, nasty stuff. My first guy is going to be Esmeralyn Valdez, 20-year-old playing in Bradenton, led the Florida State League in home runs with 22, which hitting 22 home runs with Bradenton as your home park, or I mean in the Florida State League in general, pretty good sign of some power there. I remember going into the season, Fangraphs had him as like a player to watch, as like someone that like scouts and executives thought maybe could be like top 100 potential ish kind of, and as we kind of saw, like a lot of that's gonna be based off the power numbers, and he didn't disappoint in his first full season. The strikeouts were a little bit higher than you want to see, but like he walked a lot. He had 40 total extra bases. Just a really solid season from a young guy playing his first full year down there in more of a pitcher-friendly league kind of thing.
Well, and I will say, it's a very pitcher-friendly league, but at the same time, Bradenton is one of the more hitter-friendly parks.
Yeah. So, and he took advantage of it. He had some absolute bombs there. I was down there when he hit that inside the park grand slam against St. Lucie. That was fun. That was exciting. But yeah, one of the I think 3 or 4 players in the Pirates system to hit 20 home runs, and he was by far the youngest of the group. So is it now Sean Ross? Maybe it was 3. It might have just been 3. Gorski, Sean Ross, 4. Gorski, Sean Ross, Nick Simillo, and Valdez would be the only 4 that had 20 home runs, and he was easily the youngest of the group. So, who's your last guy?
I'm gonna get spicy with my last one, and more so just because he kind of popped up on us late. And I'm gonna say Garrett McMillan, who he's already 23, will be 24 in February, but I think what he showed upon being promoted to Greensboro, he kind of really popped up on the radar. Appearance after appearance, he was generating a ridiculously high amount of whiffs every game. And then in 21 innings at Greensboro, he struck out 28 while walking only 4. So I know when we did our AFL pod a week ago, whatever, I had mentioned him as someone potentially that could go to AFL. I'd be interested to see that. But he's someone that it's possible that they could push him into a starting role come next year.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I saw him down in Greensboro, and he was nasty. It was nasty. He threw throws like the elevated fastball with like the big looping curveball to go with it. They worked really well off of each other, and it was just nasty. It was really good stuff, and a guy that obviously not not really talked about much going into the year. College reliever in Bradenton isn't going to get you a lot of attention, and he pitched well there, and then got promoted and just pitched even better at a better level at a hitter friendly ballpark. So
yeah. He could be an underrated guy, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Usually we get you get a good. Obviously, those kind of guys we don't fully can't really fully buy in until like Altoona, but like we've seen a lot of like at the college level relievers or college level pitchers kind of fall flat once they get to like Greensboro. JP Massey, stuff like that. So, and he mowed through the level. You think there's a shot that he goes? What did you say? It was like 21 innings in Greensboro. Do you think there's a shot that he just
21?
You think there's a shot he just goes straight to Altoona now at this point with the way he pitched?
Possible. I mean, I feel like we'd have to break down the like depth chart of all the starters.
Yeah, and I guess it's a lot of that's dependent if they're going to stretch him out as a starter as well. If they're going to use him as a starter, maybe you begin him in Greensboro. But if you want to keep him in the rotation or like as like a multi-inning guy like that, probably make a case you could just bump him straight to Altoona at that point. In that kind of role. So my last guy is, we talked about it, and I've said somebody, but I think it's worth mentioning Johnny Severino, just because the 19-year-old playing in the complex league, double digits in home runs and stolen bases in the complex league at 19 years old. Kind of hard to pass up. At least giving him a shout out. I know he'll get a shout out later this week on the site as we do like our postseason awards and stuff like that. But like I said, 19 years old. This is his first full season in the Pirate system. Played in the complex. Once the complex season was over, he moved up to Bradenton. Finished the year 16 home runs, 16 RBIs. The strikeouts started to get up there once he got to Bradenton. And then we were looking at some of like his expected numbers and stuff like that, and that kind of gave us a little bit of a concern. But I do know that at the beginning of the year, he struggled a little bit with the strikeouts in the complex league, and then you could see the adjustments and him starting to get a little bit better. So maybe he got a little bit of the taste of Bradenton. I'd imagine he starts there next year. Maybe that little bit there allows him to adjust, and we'll see those strikeouts come down next year, which he'll be 20 all of next year.
He's definitely someone to be excited about.
Don't get too many don't have many of like the hitting guys that we can get too excited about right now, but there's definitely some guys in the lower levels that just you kind of they don't come without their question marks, I guess. At this point. And the question mark generally being strikeouts. So
bit of that.
Yeah.
Bit of that going around.
Just a tad. But moving on to the next part, we're gonna go one player that I guess didn't quite meet expectations. I'll go ahead and throw my guy out there first real quick. I picked him just because I also picked him as like a potential breakout guy at the beginning of the year. Struggled last year, but like before he had his injury that like ended his season, kind of looked like he was starting to come around. So I was kind of hoping he would build off of that. He has the talent. He has all the talent in the world. It's just a matter of he's got to make those better swing decisions and stuff like that, and just didn't take that step this year. That's Shalene Polanco. Played over 100 games, only batted 191, struck out 31% of the time, had a WRC plus of 80. He did hit 11 home runs, which is good, but like sub 200 batting average just isn't going to cut it, especially in A-ball. He's still like it's crazy. Like it feels like he's been around forever, but he's still going to be like 21 next year. So
yeah, he's like really young.
Still young, great defensive outfielder. Just needs to start making better swing decisions. Like I think there's been multiple times, and like even like Wilbur's brought it up too. Like he'll swing at 3 straight pitches in the opposing batter's box. Like it just gets ugly at times. So
which seems
really,
to be a kind of an issue with a lot of guys coming over from the complex league generally.
yeah. Was really hoping he'd take like a step forward. Didn't, but still young though. Still young though. How about you? Who's your guy?
Well, another guy that was big on, and I think I picked for my breakout, at least within the top 30, Lonnie White Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
who also had an 80 WRC plus with 14 home runs and 15 stolen bases. But he hit only 167 in Greensboro with a sub 300 OBP. Struck out almost 35% of the time. Walk rate was almost 10%, which is kind of nice. But yeah, like his end zone contact and everything just wasn't pretty. It was, I don't know, a lot of bad swings. There was a moment where it seemed like he might have been getting back on track and was putting the ball in play a lot. I think the K rate was even, it snuck under 30%, I think, for a moment, but then again, swing decisions just started pitfalling again. And
Yeah.
I mean, he's 21. He'll be 22 in December. I mean, I hope he's not on the Siani Hudson Head track 3 years in Greensboro. So a fully healthy offseason, hopefully some work in the cage or whatever, and figures it out come next year.
Yeah, because we've been on the Lonnie train for quite some time, and like another guy like Polanco, like the tools are all there. It's just a matter of
right
making the right swing decisions, and especially for Lonnie staying on the field kind of thing too. Because he's had those injury problems, and he's newer on the baseball side and still learning and stuff like that. So I don't think it's I don't think it's too far gone for him, but
yeah, I mean, he obviously had an injury this year too, but I mean, it's his healthiest season to date. 89 games, 375 plate appearances, so still some potential.
Yeah, and I think like you said, this is like his most active season, and I think even if you like add, he's probably barely had over a season's worth of plate appearances too at this point. So just due to the sheer amount of injuries, so we'll see what kind of step he takes. But yeah, I think we were all kind of hoping for a little bit more. I mean, like the home runs were nice, but like just can't be striking out that much in high A.
Right.
So.
Right.
But those are some of our top performers and disappointments, I guess, if you want to say. Now shifting to the major league side. Week left in the season. All the minor leagues are done. We're a week left overall for the Pirates. They enter they have to go 3-3 the rest of the season to tie last year's win total, which with Milwaukee and the Yankees left on the schedule doesn't seem overly likely. I mean, I guess they can finish strong, but as far as the last week of the season, is there anything specific that you're watching for? Just in general.
Well, I guess obviously what you'll probably touch on here in a second, but I'd be interested to see if they do bring up anybody for a potential like spot start, get their feet wet kind of appearance of any of the pitching prospects. There's no need or rush to do it, but I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of probably fat to trim on the 40 man, so I don't really think that'd be an issue carrying a guy or two through the off season. So not really worried about that.
I think the guy, if they are going to do that, it's probably going to be like Mike Burrows, who comes up for like, it would probably have to be like the last game of the season, just because like he threw on Sunday and he threw like a season high 91 pitches. So I imagine coming off Tommy John, like he wouldn't like like the season was continuing, he wouldn't pitch no earlier than like Saturday probably. So and throwing 91 pitches, you're probably going to want to give him an extra day's rest, which would put him on track for Sunday, which would be the last game of the season. I wouldn't mind it, like if you just wanted to bring him up for like an inning or two or something like that. I imagine last game of the year, they're probably just going to be throwing everyone out there. It's probably lining up to either be Paul Skeens pitching or a bullpen kind of day. So if you're just going like a straight bullpen game for the last day of the season, I don't see a reason why two of those innings can't be Mike Burrows. But outside of that, I mean, I guess we do have to remember too, like what is it? They have like 4 or 5 guys on like the 60-day injured list too. So they're gonna have to bring those guys back onto the 40. But yeah, there's a lot of people you could just kind of cut ties with and stuff like that at that point.
Well, I mean, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 guys on the 60.
So,
but
Ben Heller, you're probably not bringing back.
Yeah, Marco Heller, and Jeffries.
Yeah, those 3 aren't coming back, and then the others would be like Oviedo, Andy Rodriguez, Hunter Stratton, and was there 6 that you said, or is there one more?
One more.
I'm judging by your face. It's like Moretta,
the money man.
Man, he is. I completely forgot about him. So yeah, but like I mean, I guess theoretically they could squeeze somebody on here or something like that. But
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, I feel like there's even further. I mean, Beeks is a free agent. Chapman's a free agent. Who knows if they'll carry Matson, which I wouldn't be against. Yeah,
they should.
I mean, they have 5 catchers. Grandal's a free agent. I mean, I guess they probably don't want to lose Delay. I don't know.
I mean, I guess this could kind of segue into like our off-season thing, but they have so many catchers on their 40-man. But really, how many catchers do they actually have on that 40-man? Because
5. Currently.
5 technically, but like, is Henry Davis a catcher? I've never thought so. I think the more he's played, the more it kind of showed that he's not. How's Andy Rodriguez like? How's his arm? He had to leave. I think it was Friday's game because of quote unquote arm fatigue after making the throw to second. Like he had 2 throwing errors that game, so something was clearly off. So like, how's his arm? Is his arm ever going to melt? Is he going to be able to catch again? So that's 2 of them right there. Grandal is a free agent. Joey Bart, he's hit well offensively. You pulled up some numbers that kind of showed that maybe he isn't as well offensively as we kind of thought. If one of those, maybe like the bar was set so low kind of thing. And then his defensive metrics, I don't think are that great as well. That's another guy down.
Yeah, no, they're not.
And then you got Jason Delay, who's, I mean, he's a really good defensive catcher, but that's about it. He's not going to hit. So it's very easy. It's very easy to pick some holes into that catcher depth on the 40-man at this point.
Yeah.
So. I'll run into like quickly before we like dive more into the offseason. I think the biggest thing for me this last week, I'm watching Nick York and Nick Gonzalez. I think it's an interesting dynamic there that they may have going because they've been able to bounce them both around, but I also not sold on them being like people who can consistently bounce around and stuff like that. I mean, Nick Gonzalez, like I think he graded out like in outs above average, just above average at shortstop last year. I think it was like a +1 or something like that. I think Nick York would be okay in left field. I don't think it would be. If it's an improvement, it's probably an improvement because like Brian Reynolds is like what the worst defensive rated left fielder in baseball. So
Pretty much.
yeah, it's an improvement because of that. But I just kind of want to see like where they're all playing, how well they both hit. I kind of got the feeling on NS9 Monday morning that maybe they're not as confident. Maybe it was in like Nick Gonzalez going into next year as maybe others people as like a bona fide starter. So see how they finish, see how York finishes, and I don't like I've been a big Nick York fan for a while, and I don't feel like it's too far out of the realm of possibility that he just kind of established himself as a better option than Nick Gonzalez.
I mean, it's possible.
So.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just a lot of utility fielders that are close to average offensively, but no one's really like forcing the issue or pushing it,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
It's going to be interesting too, and like it feels like they're kind of putting themselves in a position to where like the whole team roster construction is going to get real icky again. How just the way that it's built is going to force some guys to play out of position, and I don't know, maybe we see someone like Nick York, or maybe one of them just end up straight up in the minors, because you probably figure that if Brian Hayes comes back healthy, then like is Jared Triola automatically like on the roster as like the backup third baseman kind of thing. I think that's
baseman, backup first baseman. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's another roster spot. And you got Kiner Falefa, and where's he going to play? And so it's going to be interesting. They're starting to feel like they're backing themselves into another wall when it comes to like roster makeup. But I don't know. That's what I'm watching the rest of the week. And like, so shifting back into a little bit of the offseason, I know there's one thing in particular that you wanted to talk about as far as like what we're looking for in the offseason, and or like I guess a storyline or something like that. And it's Pirates traded a couple pitchers. They're trade from their depth, good pitching depth, and we're able to get Billy Cook and Nick York. It's worked pretty well for them so far. So we're looking at maybe some names that we think that maybe the Pirates can maximize on their value now to get some more hitting help, which I imagine that's going to be the main focus of the offseason. So, who are some guys that you had in mind maybe as some potential trade candidates?
Well, if we basically say, okay, Jones, Skeens, and Keller's the 1, 2, 3. If they want to get, no, we won't go down that road yet. But I guess I see it as, I mean, first off, I'll say Luis Ortiz is probably arguably going to be the best trade asset they have this offseason. He's pitched very well in an entire this season. He has a lot of years of control. Falter, I think, would be up there in part because he's a lefty, but also there's the fact that the Pirates then wouldn't have a lefty. So that would be a question mark. But you also have Johan Oviedo coming back. So there's 3 starters for 2 spots already. And presumably, I mean, I guess maybe if you want to let Oviedo come back slowly, he could start in the bullpen, start in AAA, yada, 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 whatever. But, I mean, you also have Bubba, who's could be next year's Jared Jones, and is arguably ready for the majors already. You have Thomas Harrington already, who's likely on the precipice of being ready for the majors. You have Mike Burrows, who's on the precipice and potentially. I don't think they'd push him into the bullpen, at least not yet. But then you also have Braxton Ashcraft, who potentially will go to the bullpen just because of, another year of injuries if he stays healthy through the offseason. But it's just, they obviously have a lot of starting pitching depth that they could try to essentially emulate the Priester for York trade, but better.
Yeah.
Similar to how like the Cubs got Michael Busch because he was blocked, or when the Tigers traded and got Trey Sweeney, who essentially didn't have a path to the majors.
Mm-hmm.
They could try to trade for guys that are likely ready, but just don't have a path to the majors.
Yeah.
If we want to get crazy, maybe they do a Henry Davis 1-for-1 swap with somebody. I don't know, but likely not that. But
yeah, I imagine there's still people that are fairly high on him and stuff like that as a former first overall pick. So maybe they do explore that. I think you're right, though. I think Ortiz is probably the guy who nets you the most, and probably the guy who's most worthwhile selling selling high on. I get the whole lefty righty thing, but like if I think that like Bailey Falter is probably the guy who crashes the hardest like value, I'm probably okay with just flipping him and then still looking to pick up like a left-handed free agent, because like the Pirates are just like, pitching depth and like lefty guys off of free agency. Like those are two things that they've done pretty well at. So I'm sure they can find another guy if.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that Oviedo's coming off injury, so him and Falter have the same years control. I think it was 3 years.
How do you feel about like maybe like Oviedo like starting the year in like Luis Ortiz's role? You start him out like maybe a couple innings.
Well, that's what I just said. I mean, that's what I just said. I mean, if they want to bring him back slowly, you could start him in the bullpen. You could start him in AAA. It's possible, but I mean, they also bullpen's a whole nother monster. Just with, obviously, you got Bednar and Holderman, but then Nicholas is on IO, and then Stratton's on IO. They'll be back. Moretta's going to be back at some point. You still got Baraki. Yeah, so there probably won't be many.
I was going to say, outside of like Ortiz, like in a perfect ideal scenario, like Braxton Ashcraft is probably the guy you want to try to trade, just because like there's some upside there. He's basically major league ready and stuff like that. The issue with that is like we just don't know about that arm right now. Was starting to not sound great with some of the reports that were coming out about it. But I guess until we hear further, there's just going to kind of be a question mark right there. But he'd be kind of my guy. Like you said, if we're trading from pitching depth and stuff like that, I think with like the emergence of like Carlson Reed, they've shown just like the ability just to do whatever with it. So I think someone like he finished the year hurt too, so it's hard to do it. And I know he's a guy you said that you would probably not want to trade. I think you put him like on a soft no trade list, but like someone like Hunter Barco too. Hunter Barco, I think, would be someone that you might be able to get something good for. I know
potentially, like, or he'd be the reason why you'd be like, we don't need Falter. We got this other lefty right on the cusp.
That's true. I guess the good thing with that too, the thing that makes you feel safer with a lot of stuff, especially with Barco, is that it wasn't an arm injury that he missed time with. It was something with I think it was like his knee. So the fact that we're not dealing with like an arm injury with him, then we should know he should be good to go coming into 2025. Was there anyone else that you had written down or anything like that you wanted to that you thought? I do think someone like, depending on how you could send feelers out there with it, maybe someone like Pagero, or even like Sung Ji Chang, maybe too. You could send feelers out to see maybe if
I
people
mean,
are interested.
you could probably maybe if you could entice someone with a Padres type package where you pair Pagero with Ashcraft and then throw some like low level higher end lottery ticket. Someone might bite.
Yeah.
Two MLB air quotes ready players and then a lottery ticket. I mean, you could probably get a decent player back.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, that's pretty much everyone I had on there. Did you have anyone else that you had in mind before I cut you off?
I mean, there's so many possibilities. I mean, you really want to sell high. Like I said, I wasn't going to go down that road, but I don't think they would do it with Keller. But I mean, maybe flip Jared Jones already. I don't know. I wouldn't do it to Skeens, but Jared Jones maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you find, I kind of feel like they're if you're serious about winning next year, there are probably very few names that should not be on the list as far as like if it makes this team better. And it's crazy to say that I'd rather keep like someone like Bubba Chandler than like if I can find someone who'd be willing to take like Jared Jones. I'm probably not trading either of them. But I would definitely, if the right thing came along for Jared Jones, then yeah, you have to explore it.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, if someone's willing to offer, a handful of upper level ready now guys, like I said, a guy,
Or just
a guy that kind of popped up out of no. Well, I guess that just made me think of two guys, but not the second one, but someone that kind of popped up out of nowhere. Although that probably is why Flaherty was available, but Friedman for the Dodgers. I don't know if they'd part with him, but or Freeman, shortstop, AAA, mashing, popped up on top 100 lists.
there you go. There you go.
Do something.
Yeah, anything, please, something, anything. That's not Brian De La Cruz level. Or Luis Peralta, trading away Luis Peralta.
I was telling my buddy, I was talking about bullshit with my buddy the other day. He was a Detroit Tigers fan, good for him. And I was like, man, I was mocking Brian De La Cruz all season, and then the Pirates go and trade for him. Yeah. I was like, geez, man, come on.
Yeah, you need to just start mocking some like good players and stuff like that, and hope that they bite again and make the trade anyways.
Shoitani's a loser. He's terrible. He's terrible at baseball.
Pirates trade for him. All right. Well, that is going to be our show for today. We did pretty well there. We overshot the 30 minutes by just a bit. I guess it's the dangerous part though. You got any Nola knowledge for us?
Well, the one I was actually thinking. Actually, I just thought of a second one. But first one, if you live anywhere in Tallahassee or southeast of Tallahassee, get out of Dodge. There's a nasty, nasty, nasty storm brewing. I don't wish evil on anybody, but I am very glad that thing's turning east from me. That thing looks nasty.
Yeah, it looked like I was having to worry about my trip there for a second. Next week, with some of the stuff you're showing me, but maybe I look out. Maybe I look out. Maybe we just get a bunch of rain.
a lot of forecasts are projecting it to be potentially like a really major hurricane. So
When I go down there,
I was like,
or this one coming up.
this one coming up, yeah.
Okay.
But you're going to the good side of Florida. I mean, they'll see some weather, but just
Yeah. Yeah.
not
Speaking of that, like that
yeah.
makes me think of, because like like my sister lived them down in Florida, and every time it looks like a hurricane's getting ready to hit them, I text her, like, you guys good, you guys gonna be all right, you guys ready? And she was like, well, yeah, it's not even supposed to touch us. And like my cousin lives in Orlando. My sister lives in Pensacola. My cousin got hammered by a hurricane one time, and he sent me like a picture of like where their driveway was flooded, and my sister didn't even get any rain. so I forget how big Florida is and how far out Pensacola is from like everything else. So
Oh yeah,
they get,
yeah. I mean, because
the rest of Florida gets hit hard. They get nothing.
Yeah, because I think I can be to Florida in, I want to say 2 hours, but I think it's more than 2 hours, maybe 3 or 4. But like if I'm going when we drive to Bradenton, I mean that's 12 because you gotta go all the way east and then south.
Yeah. All right, well, that's some good NOLA knowledge on there. And for everyone who is going to be in that impacted area, please be safe. And there'll be no episode next week because I'll be in Florida, and I'm gonna try to make it as close to vacation-y as possible for me. So no episode.
Vacationing.
Yeah, no episode next week. We'll be back the following week. I think the Arizona Fall League will have started by then. So we'll talk some.
It's actually theoretically the next record will be the night it begins.
Night it begins. Okay. Well, that works. That works perfectly. We'll talk some Arizona Fall League players we're watching. Yada yada yada. Nola, where can they find you on social media?
At Nola Jeffy, NOLAJEFFY.
And as always, follow me on Twitter at @double_Murphy88. Subscribe to Bucks on Deck Substack, and the podcast. This week we're going to be rolling out some end of season awards and all-star teams and stuff like that. Got some other stuff from the Greensboro trip that'll be coming out the week I'm in Florida. I'm gonna get those all scheduled and stuff like that to go live there. Got a lot of fun stuff for the off season. So subscribe, follow along, come out to the comment section. Next year, I think I'm gonna make more of an effort to hang out in the comments more, to talk to like the subscribers and stuff like that, as opposed to hanging out.
It's spicy.
Yeah, it can get spicy sometimes there. I'll hang out there to make sure it don't. But thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you again next time.
Deuces.